God showed us his love, and he has called us to emulate his love, to follow along in his example of how he loved us, and to love one another that way. Knowing God results in loving what God has loved first. What did God love first? He died for us. He showed us love before we had done anything, in that he gave himself up for us. He looked at people who said, I know better than you. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do it. And he said, I will die for them. Church, part of walking with God is locking arms with one another here and loving his people. But then I started to see her as God says she is. You know what God says she is? A daughter of the Most High. God says she's his daughter. And if I view her the way God says she is, I better act accordingly. I love my wife differently now than I did in that first year. She's defined by what his word says, not what my eyes see. That same principle applies to everyone in this room who knows who Christ is. Do we see one another as a son or daughter of the Most High? Do we realize that the source of all of this love is God? John explains that God is the example of love in that he looked upon his creation in the garden, knew they would not be able to restore the relationship themselves, so he started a plan to redeem those who would call upon the name of Christ. The believer is free to love and live the way God called them because there's no fear and punishment. Now, what you're not hearing me say is that we can walk in this world and just be like, I'm 10 feet tall, I'm bulletproof, nothing's going to go wrong, I'm fine. What I am saying is that you know what happens if you die? You're before Christ. And if you're following him, you hear, well done, good and faithful servant. It doesn't get any better than that. You don't change and then he loves you. He already did. And understanding that love is what changes us. Did you hear it? That's how this works. It's not about what you do. It's about what he already did and how that changes us. The Holy Spirit working in us. We love because he first loved us. It's perfect. Greater is he that is in you than is he that is in the world. If he's not in you, you're in trouble. Did you hear that? If he's not in you, if you have not surrendered your life to Christ, you are in trouble. Trouble that will end with you living eternally set apart from him. Period. End of story. That's it. There are no do-overs. That's where this leads if you do not give your life over to him. I'm not trying to persuade you into salvation. I already told you, I learned that that can't happen. What I am saying is faithfully what the text says is that you will follow Christ or you will not. And if you don't give your life to him, he will not force it on you. He will grant you your request. But if you do, you get to walk confidently with him, locking arms with one another, loving first what he loved, us. John calls us to confidently walk in this world as a loved believer because we are a favorite of God. He's paid for you and the lives around you. Now go love.